Hey, welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. As y'all know, my name's Chad. Take a dive in the world of sports. This is going to be a kind of a almost impromptu video in terms of this, since there's no college football action we're going to talk about this weekend, since it's the Army-Navy game. And Army's already has secured their hold on the Commanders-in-Chiefs trophy. They can win it outright, but since, if Navy wins, they still retain it because that's just how that trophy goes. I figured I'd take a look at the college football playoff and the proposed expansion that they keep kicking down the line. But before we get into that one, if you could go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me, especially like this content, please, YouTube gods. It helps this channel get promoted. Right there, you go to subscribe. I'll check my analytics. I have a lot of you guys watching my videos, and I love you all for doing that. But not many of you subscribe. This will cost you a dime, and it helps me perform what I love to do best, talk inside my mouth about sports and entertain you all. And I greatly appreciate it if you did that. So let's go ahead and go right back into this discussion with the expanded playoff. And right now, the proposal that's being initially brought out and had some backing early, and now has starting to see certain individuals starting to back away from it, was a 12-team expanded playoff. We have the 6 conference champions, 6 top-ranked conference champions, and then 6 at-large bids. Now, on the surface, it looks pretty good because that pretty much looks like the Power 5 will all get in, but there was no guarantees. And I think that's what, like the Pac-12 and the ACC now and the Big 12 are all looking to get a guarantee for the AQs. And I look at this as like, you don't want that. You really want a 9-4, 8-5 conference champion out of the Pac-12 to represent the entire conference, just because they had a better game one day and against maybe a team that ended up going 10-2. And then you have other schools and programs that say Western Michigan comes out of nowhere, goes undefeated again, and you leave them out because they're the MAC and they're like the number 2 ranked group of 5 schools. That really hampers, I believe, the aspects of the college football season, as the traditionalists really want to focus on the season. It's all about the season, Pretty much the season is your playoff until you get to to the end. And going about where you have the AQs, you are taking away a little bit of that. You're pretty much taking away a chance of maybe having Cincinnati and Boise State both being in there as a conference champion. So I like the idea of having the top 6 ranked college champions, conference champions, and giving the top 4 conference champions the first round bye. That puts emphasis on winning your conference. And that's what should be the focal point really for these programs, is first win your conference. Once you win your conference, then you can look at the next step. Same way in NFL, you have to win your division to get in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, you worry about the next step. And I think, NCAA should kind of do this with their playoff expansion processes. Win your conference, so that way you try to get in and make sure you do very well, so we get top 4 and then move on. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of pushbacks for that one for some reason. Like I said, the thing's more along the lines of trying to make sure the Power 5 all gets automatically qualified. And like I said, I don't think it should happen. But here are the list of conference champions. And according to their college football rankings, I'm going to actually use that ranking, not mine, because mine's a little bit different. So at least, point out there exactly where it's all at. So your number 1 will be, of course, Alabama. Number 2 is Michigan. Then 3rd ranked conference champions, number 4, Cincinnati. And then number 7, Baylor. 11, Utah, and 12, Pitt. Those are your 6 conference champions. And look, they're all in the top 12. which means your rest of your 6 are coming out of that top 12 position. I don't think no one's going to argue about these 12 teams, really. I mean, yeah, you could probably say something about, maybe, Oklahoma or BYU, maybe into UTSA or Louisiana. But beyond that, no one's going to really complain about it too much, because your at-large will be number 3, Georgia, number 5, Notre Dame, number 6, Ohio State, number 8, Ole Miss, and number 10, Michigan State. I mean, no one in this group of 12 has more than 2 losses, which I think it ensures that the best programs are vying for a national championship. So those, one-off games, maybe a couple of bad games here and there, and then you're out of it. And this one kind of eliminates that functionality. It's like, the stumbles of Georgia and Oklahoma State in their conference championship game doesn't hurt them, but also doesn't really help them. Because if they would have won their conference championship, both of them got the first round bye. Now this does kind of hamper Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's one of the ones the individuals that kind of back this program. So does that mean Notre Dame goes full on into the ACC if this becomes reality? We'll have to wait to see. And then, of course, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Ole Miss will all get a home game in the first round. So the first round will be at campus sites, which, in that sense, I kind of like that. That's kind of like an extra week of college football. And I would say if you lose that one, you go to a couple of consolation bowl games where these teams will face off against each other. So we lost the first round, but we're not we still get something else in beyond that. But then, that should be around about the 18th, since the bowls kick off on the 17th. You throw this first round game on the 18th. It gives them 2 weeks after the conference championship game, so it's plenty of time. And, it's one of these things where, trying to, like I said, trying to figure where that quarterfinal is going to be. And I would say give them bowl games. That way you find, 4 bowls that have, decent sized stadiums, and you can do that. And looking at the schedule at the time frame and most of the bowl games, you could probably, some things you probably can look at is, the Gasparilla Bowl, which is right there in Tampa. The New Orleans Bowl. Move down the Los Angeles, the LA Bowl. Maybe even, call up maybe the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Move that over to Tempe, put them in Sun Devil Stadium, right there in Chase Field. And there's 4 bowl sites. Unfortunately, you do kind of, double up on, the rotation of the semifinal games. So you might have to maybe find some other venues, like Orlando. Since Orlando does have like 3 bowls. So probably pull in the Cure Bowl instead of like the New Orleans. And maybe even pull up the Alamo Bowl instead of the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Something like that where you get 4 sites you don't normally see in the semifinals, part of that New Year's 6 rotation. And it kind of gives the bowl something else to kind of go, hey, look at us. We're still so relevant. And kind of use like maybe the New Orleans Bowl and, maybe the Guaranteed Rate Bowl as, the consolation games for first round participants that didn't, win. But I think that's one of the things they're kind of looking at is trying to make sure the bowls are not affected too much, where they still have their respectability, their gadget, pageantry and all that, and their proud history. And then going parts of the ensuring that we have the best 2 teams fighting for the championship. Now, another sticking point that's kind of popped up is player safety, and they're playing too many games. And I'm going to throw the flag on that one. I really am, because as I've watched college football continue to grow, and I've seen the games increase. I remember it was a 11-game season, and before that, it was a 10-game season. It increased it to 11. And then, they pushed it to 12, and they were like, oh, player safety. And then came the conference championship games. And then, conferences were fighting to get a conference championship game where they don't have 12 members. But now they're going to say, it's player safety to go play too many games. I mean, okay, so they play. So you get 12. Let's look at a conference champion. They don't get first round bye. So you got, the 13 games to get there. So the first round is number 14. The quarterfinals 15. Semifinals 16. And then 17 for the championship game. Okay, 17 games. Okay, I get that. But the NFL plays 17 games. That's not including playoffs or the preseason. Because then you got preseason, you got 3 games on top of that. Then another 4 games if you don't get that, number 1 seed for the playoffs. So you're looking at 24 games for the pros. Now get the pros a lot older and conditioned that way. But then you gotta look, okay, a senior then gets drafted by the NFL, so he's pretty much the exact same body type. He's playing more games now. And why is it the FBS is the only entity of football not willing to do a proper playoff? FCS does it. Division II, Division III, the NFL, high school. You have more chances of being a champion in high school in NFL than you do in FBS. And like I said, the expanded playoff won't take anything away, because if you look at the top 17 teams in the college football playoff, each one of them has at least 10 wins. 10. And you're not looking at, Louisiana, UTSA, or 2 other programs only have 1 loss. So, the fact that they're trying to say that a expanded playoff is going to dilute the season, it's not going to dilute it. And that's just the elitist aspect in terms of the college football comes into play. It's kind of how I look at those aspects in terms of the 12. And I don't think it's a bad idea. That really helps them out. Now, what I really think they really need to do is come up with a system where all conference champions are in the playoffs. This is the best way, I think, forward to ensure every conference has the ability to put a champion. But it also means expand the playoff to 16 teams. So the ones that they don't not in there but should get in there would be the 23rd ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns, UTSA, who's also 12-1, and then you have Utah State, and I'm going 10-3, I believe, and then Northern Illinois, and I'm going 9-4. So yeah, the last 2 ones are probably ones you probably don't really want, and pretty much push over games for the top 2 teams of Alabama and Michigan. So you can kind of look at it that way. But yeah, that kind of helps. Like I said, 16 teams I think will probably be the better aspect, is you get all 10 conference champions. You still get 6 at large, and you still kind of probably get a chance of a Cinderella. I mean, that's what people love. That's what people love. March Madness. You want that Cinderella team. You want go behind and pick. And knock off Alabama or knock off Michigan. Is it going to happen? About 99% no. But what you're saying, there's a chance. Just put me in, coach. And now, and going back to the aspect of the 12-team thing, and only the conference champions getting the first round bye. So what does this do with Notre Dame, Army, UConn, and UMass? Well, Notre Dame is already tied with the ACC. There you got they're in the ACC in all things but two sports: football, which are independent, and hockey, which is the Big Ten. But yeah, but if the college football kind of goes with, hey, you have to have a conference champion to get that first round bye, I think Notre Dame would jump in at ACC, and then that kind of goes to the point: does the ACC then go the way of the SEC goes 16? Does that mean, do they go raiding into the Big West, maybe grab West Virginia? Or did it go to the American and grab South Florida, or possibly Temple? I just don't think Memphis will be added. So if let's just say they grab West Virginia, just for lack of argument, they grab West Virginia, and the Big 12's got to add a team. Well, that's probably going to be Memphis. And just add Memphis over. And then the Americans got to add one, so they're probably going to look at, we'll just say, for lack of better, FIU. Just kind of give, bring back that Chula Bowl as a conference game. Right now, just kind of throwing things out there to kind of see what sticks. And Conference USA would then get UConn, Army, and UMass to join. And then probably convince maybe, I don't know, Chattanooga to move up. Then that way that every conference has at least 12 members. Gives everyone a shot. But that's just spitballing things out there, but this will probably be the best option. I really love the idea of the 12 team format. It makes the most sense. Does not dilute the season whatsoever. In fact, it probably enhances it, so you realize, okay, I have a bad game, I'm not out of it. Okay, I have 2 bad games. Once you lose 3, you can pretty much you write yourself off. Unless you're able to win the conference, pretty much like Utah. But it's just one of those things that I think it's just a matter of time when the SEC, or not SEC, but the college football playoff expands. It's more money. Maybe NBC or CBS or Fox come up with more money than ESPN. Maybe that's what needs to drive it. Have someone else start bidding for it. Maybe work out a deal like they do with the NFL and they rotate the Super Bowl. Maybe that's what they need to do with college football. Right now, ESPN has a lock on that for terms of broadcasting the games. So, probably need to do something there. But, that's another story for a different time. It's just time will tell if the chancellors and ADs and the representatives of these schools and conferences all agree with this. Because right now they're not on the same footing. I think a lot of it deals with TV contracts, bowl contracts, and try to find a best way to balance them both to ensure that the bowls are not getting left out, they're not getting devalued themselves, even though there's 44 bowl games. And then try to ensure that the playoffs are not diluted themselves, where you have too many teams that get in that shouldn't be really in. That's why I think a 16-team format probably won't work unless they do just the top 16 teams in the college football playoff. But only ensuring maybe 8 conference champions get in and get 8 at large. I think that could be a possibility. Because if you do that, of course, it'd be your typical 6. So then you throw in Louisiana and UTSA. Other 2 at large would be BYU and Oregon. I mean, I don't think anyone will probably disagree with those. Maybe Oklahoma over Oregon. It's because of how Oregon got manhandled by Utah twice. But, it's just one of these things that I think that, they should really, really look at to see, who's the best option moving forward and try to ensure the best quality postseason is available for the fans without diluting the season, nor limiting the pageantry and the tradition of the bowl games. Well, that's my take of the college football playoff with the look at what the 12 should, part of what it looked like if they went through it today. A proposal of a 16-team playoff, how things kind of play out in terms of location, especially for the semifinals. And, 2 different alternative versions for a 16-team format. But, hey, so let me know what you think. I know this is, weird territory when it comes to this type of aspect because, there's so many different ways that you can look at this particular setup and think of a best way of putting forward. Some people say the top 8. And some people say just leave it at 4 and go back to the 2 teams. But I think, like I said, I think a expanded playoff is necessary to progress college football and move it forward. The traditionalists have kept it down a lot, and it's time for it to make it into the next century. So I think, like I said, it's only a matter of time before they do it. It's just trying, iron out the kinks of how to best suit who's going to get in, who gets the buys, and locations. And that's a lot of logistics, a lot behind the scenes, a lot of, negotiations here and there. So I'm just hoping they're able to do this in a quick fashion, especially with the college football realignments coming up. Thank you, Texas, Oklahoma, for starting that domino. I think right now it's on the calm before the storm, because I think once they approve this, I think you'll see a mad rush to get probably your best quality teams into your conference to really, really move forward. Because I think the Big 12 is still looking at Memphis really, really intently to add to the fold. Because I think they might be looking at saying, hey, we might lose a couple. But hey, just let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm just ranting and raving, talking side of my mouth. But I think this is kind of the best option moving forward. In terms of college football, I still got the weekly bowl matchups I'll be doing on Wednesdays. That I'll get that out to you next Wednesday. Well, not next Wednesday, but on the 15th. There you go. On the 15th, start looking at those bowl matchups to see who's going to be. Kind of look at those. I got maybe pick a winner of those. But there should be still some good bowls in anyways if you look at it. And I'm starting working on other realignment scenarios. I'm still trying to get the formats down just right and to make these conferences make sense. I had one going before until they started this expansion, so now I got to find ways to kind of even things out. But it's kind of the fun things for me to do, what I kind of do on my spare time. I know, I'm just crazy like that. But anyways, just leave a comment down below. Just let me know what you think. What's your best idea? Who you think should be in the playoffs. If it definitely expand it on 4. Right there, like I said, you go ahead and smash that thumbs up. And you can also subscribe. Once you subscribe, you hit that bell notification so you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.